One of NASA's most challenging missions will be the Artemis Mission. After 50 years, NASA wants to send people back to the moon. Many government and corporate organizations are already engaged in the new space race and seeking to open up space to the general public. This decade's turning point would be the Artemis Program. It will not only put humans back on the moon, but it will also get us ready for the next big step, which is to put people on Mars. After the 3 Artemis missions, what then? What follows for them in NASA's plans? Let's examine carefully what after the 3 Artemis missions, what will NASA do? You must have a deep curiosity about human spaceflight and the secrets of the cosmos if you are here watching this video. To ensure that you never miss out on the latest information about the Artemis missions, subscribe today and turn on the bell notification. We constantly work to create videos that pique the interest of viewers like you. Now let's return to the future of the moon. Following the Artemis 3 mission, NASA and its partners will begin developing missions on and around the moon to get us ready for the kinds of missions we'll encounter on a manned voyage to Mars. To make this possible, NASA and its international and corporate partners will set up the critical infrastructure, robotic missions, and systems required to support a long-term human presence on the moon. NASA will increase the capabilities of the Gateway, set up the Artemis base camp in the lunar South Pole, and instill high trust in commercial lunar landers to achieve this more robust human lunar enterprise. Following the operationalization of the basic Artemis components, SLS, Orion, HLS, the Gateway, and perhaps the LTV, NASA will collaborate with foreign and private partners to develop additional surface capabilities. By using this strategy, NASA will be able to make the most of the years of investments it has made in the systems needed to return to the moon while simultaneously forming new collaborations and acquiring new skills to guarantee that our return to the moon is sustainable and extensible. LunarNet, a scalable and adaptable lunar communication and navigation program, is a fantastic illustration of this. Robotic rovers, landers, and astronauts will all have similar network access thanks to a LunarNet design. Any network asset can send data across any communication channel, which will connect to the broader network. Additionally, LunarNet will enable positioning, navigation, and timing (PNT) services, enhancing the accuracy of surface activities and scientific research. The information collected by rovers can be transmitted to relays orbiting the moon, which can subsequently transmit it back to Earth. Space weather devices will be able to inform astronauts on the moon's surface in real time when solar flares are approaching, giving them plenty of time to find shelter. For NASA, this will be a very adaptable solution that will allow for exploration and scientific activities. This adaptability will be essential for NASA because it has ambitions for both solar system and lunar exploration, enabling LunarNet to develop similarly to how the Internet did on Earth. 2 of these plans will be particularly important for the period following Artemis 3. These are the permanent human outpost known as the Artemis Base Camp, where we will store the lunar resources we have collected throughout our time on the moon. Let's examine both of these in more detail. The Camp of Artemis, the major objective of returning to the moon is to establish a long-term human presence there, similar to what we have done on the International Space Station. The first human settlement on the moon will be the Artemis Base Camp. Currently, there are 3 primary mission components for the Artemis Base Camp that have been proposed: the Foundation Surface Habitat, which will house 4 crew members on the lunar surface and serve as a pillar for Artemis Base Camp and the American presence there; the Habitable Mobility Platform, a pressurized rover that will enable long-duration trips for the astronauts away from the Artemis Base Camp; and the Lunar Terrain Vehicle. These components work together to create a long-term capability on the moon that can be revisited and expanded over the ensuing decades. They also test systems that will be needed for human missions further into the solar system. Supporting infrastructure, including communications, power, radiation shielding, waste disposal, and storage planning, is also included. The additional facilities at the Artemis Base Camp will enable 1 to 2 month expeditions to the moon's surface that have as their goals learning more about the moon and our ancestry in general, creating new technologies to further human interest, and creating new resources to support the development of a new lunar economy. In addition to preparing us for our first manned voyage to Mars, the Artemis Base Camp will show how mankind is still working to open up space to everyone and how our joint efforts can accomplish amazing things. America's dominance in space will be shown by the Artemis Base Camp. Long-term lunar surface exploration requires mobility, which is where the pressurized and unpressurized rovers designed specifically for astronauts come in. Because the landscape of the moon is complicated and its resources are distributed, NASA will have a precise strategy for the experiments and missions that will take place at the Artemis Base Camp. Examining potential sites for Artemis Base Camp, like those near Shackleton Crater, brings to light the vastness of the lunar landscape. There will be a need for powerful mobility systems to explore and develop Mars as well as the moon. Moon Resources' future moon trips will also include a significant amount of lunar resources. Opportunities to gather lunar resources could lead to safer, more effective operations that rely less on supplies delivered from Earth as our long-term presence on the moon increases. For future manned expeditions to Mars as well as lunar exploration, having a self-sustaining base is crucial. Setting up a sustainable infrastructure will be crucial when NASA returns to the moon. Astronauts won't have as much immediate access to supplies and resources from Earth during this next era of human space travel because it will need them to work and live in deep space for months or years at a time. Although NASA will bring supplies to the Gateway in lunar orbit to facilitate trips to the moon's surface, it will become increasingly crucial to produce supplies using local resources, a process known as in-situ resource utilization, or ISRU, the further into deep space humans travel. Currently, NASA has made a number of ISRU investments through collaborations with business and academic sectors that will aid in our moon mission. A variety of sensors, including ISRU experiments that will provide information on the availability and extraction of usable materials, will be included in the moon rovers, example, oxygen and water. The creation of these technologies might make it possible to produce fuel, water, and oxygen from nearby resources, enabling long-term surface activity with less dependency on the planet. Our capacity to find and extract resources from the lunar regolith is growing as a result of prospecting, extraction, and mining efforts. The development of thermal and chemical processes will offer a substitute for converting the naturally occurring minerals and chemicals found on the moon into consumables for humans or even propellant. Various long-term uses could result in the processing of metal from extraterrestrial sources, the building of dwellings on the moon, or the creation of other structures on the moon's surface utilizing materials that can already be found there. Many of these technologies will be essential in showcasing our prowess on the moon so that we can use it later on Mars. The moon doesn't have an atmosphere, but we do know that Mars does. Despite being extremely thin, Mars' atmosphere is rich in carbon dioxide. In order to capture CO2 from the atmosphere and transform it into other useful components or chemicals, NASA is also funding programs in this area. Encouraging international support for the recovery and use of space resources is the title of an executive order that the White House released in April 2020. It addressed U.S. policy toward the recovery and use of resources from the moon and other celestial bodies. Along with assistance from U.S. business partners, NASA is already preparing all key elements that will enable a robot and person to return to the moon. The last stages of testing before integration have already begun for the NASA-developed Deep Space Transit Systems. SLS is already waiting for its wet dress rehearsal at the launch pad. The Artemis I and Artemis II flight tests will validate the performance of the rocket and spacecraft, putting America on course to send men back to the moon. NASA will work with private partners to create landers and carry out risk reduction testing in the run-up to the landings on the Artemis III mission and beyond. NASA must use creative deployment strategies, making improvements and learning from each technical advancement in order to accomplish these challenging goals. Many potential international partners have expressed interest in activities on the Moon's surface. Partners from other countries may contribute rovers, surface dwellings, and ISRU-related technology. Additionally, NASA has a fantastic opportunity to deepen its global connections with a focus on emerging and new space agencies through activities on the lunar surface and in cislunar orbit. The safety of its astronauts and the thousands of personnel on the ground who will make this happen is NASA's top priority. In order to make the first human journey to Mars, NASA will take advantage of years of arduous work and national investment in the technologies needed to return to the Moon. In addition, it will enable current and new partners and capabilities to achieve sustainability. The road to the Moon includes this goal, crucial stakeholder support, and one of NASA's largest budgets ever. We are closer than ever to sending a crew back to the Moon after the Apollo program, with advanced deep space systems under development, a growing astronaut population, and new research missions and technology planned to explore the Moon before a human return. Astronauts will be sent to Mars sooner rather than later, depending on when we send people to the Moon. What do you believe will happen to the Artemis program following the Artemis 3 mission? When will it be possible to put people on Mars? Please share with us in the comments area below. Additionally, there will be a lot more upgrades in the near future. On the launch pad is the SLS already. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification if you don't want to miss any of the impending Artemis mission updates.